Boy, from the days of riding a stick horse around the yard and playing cowboys and Indians with my brothers and sisters, it has gone a long way and stepped up a few notches. We're here with the Arkansas Leadslingers in Rogers, Arkansas, visiting here in a little place called Frisco. You're going to find out all about Frisco because there's going to be a fracas here. And I dare you to say that 10 times real fast. Fracas at Frisco, fracas. I'm not going to do that, but I tell you what, you're going to find out about some beautiful weaponry, some guys who are kind of into the Old West, and they're into competition. We're going to see that and much more on today's Out of the Norm show, where the stories are all about you, so don't you dare go away. There's good stuff coming right here.
From the barn to a busy medical practice, as a doctor, I have to have something I know is safe and effective. Nixol works on bacteria, viruses, and germs, and even staph infections. Safe enough that I feel good about using it on my face, as well as on my medical instruments. You can trust Nixol. It's green, and it's effective.
When you need it clean, 100% effective, 100% green, the best antiseptic cleanser in the world. Order today, Nixol.com.
It's the Out of the Norm show, where the stories are all about you, with author, musician, radio and television personality, and all-around nice guy, your host, Norm Allen.
Well, if you're thinking of robbing a bank, Frisco is not the place to go. There's a whole lot of armed people around here, including Ozarks Jim, the president of the bank. Thank you so much for inviting us here. This is a really interesting weekend going on and a lot of fun stuff, isn't it?
Well, we're sure happy to have you guys down here at Frisco City and coming out and taking a look at what Cowboy Action Shooting's all about.
It's a really big sport, though, worldwide, though, from what I understand.
Absolutely. It is the fastest growing shooting sport in, we used to say the United States, but now we have to add the world.
Really?
You bet. It has gone worldwide. There's Cowboy Action Shooters in, I think it's over 25, 30 countries now. So it's really, really growing and just a whole lot of fun.
Wouldn't that be fun to go to Ireland or Japan and see these guys doing the same thing?
Absolutely. They sit there, and their whole experience of this is the old Western movies.
Right.
And that's really what we are. We're a fantasy sport. We're not reenactors. We're just out here having fun because we enjoy the shooting, but we also enjoy the dressing up and assuming a character.
So it's like 3 stages above stick horses.
Absolutely, absolutely.
But how long has the Leadslingers been together?
Well, we've been together as a club under a couple of different names for about the last 12 years now. So, we're not new to it. We came to Arkansas Leadslingers about 6 years ago.
How many members do y'all have?
Right now we've got about 55, 60 members. On an average weekend we'll have 30, 40 shooters come out, and so just enjoy the camaraderie of it, and again, would love to grow a little more.
Now, when we're talking about different groups around the world doing the same thing, doing shooting action, but there's a lot more to it than just that.
Absolutely. It's called the Single Action Shooting Society. And it's a combination of shooting, but it's also getting into the character and so forth. And so we have a governing body, which is the Single Action Shooting Society. And what they do is kind of put together a loose set of rules, but they're enough consistent that you could go to any club, anywhere, and know your way around the sport. And then, of course, the Single Action Shooting Society also is involved with raising funds for our scholarship programs and things like that. So we do like to give back to the community at the same time.
What kind of age levels do you work with?
We go from everything. We don't allow anybody under 8 years old.
8 years
Under
old?
8 years old. From 8 years to 13 years, those are buckaroos or buckarettes.
Right.
And we allow them to shoot 22 rifles, and they don't have to shoot the shotgun, but they can. And then we go into young guns, and we've got a few shooters that are pushing 100.
Really? Oh,
you
gosh.
bet. You bet. There's no limits to this sport.
I bet that looks like a Gabby Hayes convention then.
We've got a few of our guys that you can understand almost as good as Gabby.
What we're doing this weekend, this is a fracas at Frisco. Now tell me what all that means.
Well, what we do, most clubs have what's called an annual shoot. At our regular club matches, we'll shoot 5 stages or 6 stages, but every once in a while we like to put on the dog. So we're going to be shooting a total of 10 stages over a 3-day period. We have side matches. Like tonight, we're going to be having a big campfire dinner with beans and cornbread. And then after it gets dark, we go ahead and load up the guns and do a night shoot. And
I brought my guitar too, by the way.
Oh, well, good. Yeah, we need somebody to sing around the campfire because none of us can carry a tune in a bucket.
Well, I would hate to tell anybody that when everybody's armed. It may look like a blazing saddle scene with all the beans around the campfire. That's
Yep,
another story
That's
altogether.
another whole story.
Now, when we use the word stages, what does that mean?
Well, here in our little town of Frisco, we actually have 10 stages. So we have the hotel, the gun shop, this is obviously the bank, the jail. And on each one of those stages, we have a different scenario. They'll read a scenario that says the bad guys are doing this or that, and then they read a shooting order, which means you might start with your rifle first, you might start with your pistol first. All of our stages are 3-gun competitions. You're performing, and again, part of it's shooting, but part of it is remembering the order in which to shoot your guns, the order in which to shoot the targets, which target gets shot with what kind of gun. So it's a mental thing. But overall, it's also a performance.
Oh, sure.
You bet.
For each other.
Exactly.
Wow, that's great. So with all the different stages, now here in the bank, there's a thing, I see some cowboys out front, some bad guys, and then right up the hill, there's
That's Misbehavin's boarding house.
okay.
And again, that's just part of a scenario that allows you to shoot, like that's where the rifle targets are for this stage. The white cowboys out front are the pistol targets, and then those little silver cowboys up there are what's called knockdowns, and you shoot those with a shotgun.
Okay. Now, and you're scored points.
Yeah, it's a timed event. So obviously, the faster you shoot, the better you score. But if you miss one of the targets, it adds 5 seconds to your time. So it's all about speed as long as it's all about accuracy.
Now, is the timing, is it per weapon or
No,
for the whole thing?
it's a total
your whole
scenario.
Okay,
Yeah.
so how fast can you go through those 3 weapons?
Exactly. That's
order
what
to
it's
do it?
all about. The average stage will have 24 shots, 10 pistol shots, 10 rifle shots, and usually 4 shotgun. The world record holder right now can do that in about 13.8 seconds.
Wow.
Now, somebody like me is nowhere near that. But again, for some of the folks in our sport, it's more about beating their own time. It's kind of like golf in that respect. You're playing against the course and you're playing against yourself. Our more competitive shooters are sure shooting against each other.
Sure. But also the weapons, now those aren't 2012 guns that you're using out here,
Well,
is it?
the way our rules read, the gun must be patented before 1897. The gun could have been made last Thursday. Not too many of us are going to shoot an 1897 made gun.
Right.
But they're made to those standards, which means for a pistol, a single action. You must cock that revolver each time before it fires. The rifles are normally a lever action, just like you've seen John Wayne use a million
Right.
times. Now, shotgun, we get a little bit of discrepancies there because in 1897, they patented the first pump shotgun. So there are some guys that'll use a pump shotgun. The majority of guys use a double barrel or what we call a coach gun, which is just a short, usually 12 gauge.
Is there a lot of trading weapons around clubs? I mean, do you guys call the club in Hot Springs, for instance, and, hey, we're having a gun sale, or they're having a gun sale? I mean, do you have a lot of that going on?
Anytime you get guys and guns together, there's swapping and trading going on. The average cowboy owns all of his own guns, but what we always tell folks is don't let that be a hindrance to you. Come on out. Any allow you to use their guns. And the minute you buy a gun, you start looking at the next one you really need to be better.
Like a golfer or like a fisherman.
Exactly.
And then it comes down to the ammunition. Mm-hmm. Now you can either store buy that or.
You can store buy it or reload it. Now, because of the sheer numbers of the amount we shoot, we like to do reloading. The other thing is, most of the time, because we're worried about how fast we shoot, we like to load down a little bit. They're not high-powered loads by any means, because you don't want a huge recoil when you're shooting.
Right.
So we do what we call low-power loads. The other thing that we do is it must be a soft lead bullet. We don't allow any jacketed bullets or anything like that, because let's face it, we're shooting real ammo at metal targets. So by using a soft lead and a low-powered round, you minimize not only recoil, but splatter or ricochet.
Right. Yeah, that would be dangerous out here,
Exactly.
wouldn't it, with a 50
well,
60
and that's why anywhere on our range we require eye and ear protection at all times.
And that was another thing I wanted to ask about was safety. I mean, this is a real important part of the whole process, isn't
Absolutely. We always say rule number 1 is safety, rule number 2 is have fun, but you can't have fun unless you're being safe.
Right.
So before every shooting match, we have what's called a safety meeting. We review all of the important safety factors. Our whole sport's designed around safety. We go through the stages in what's called a posse. And on each posse, you'll have a loading officer, an unloading officer, a timer operator. Those guys' total responsibility is to make sure when we have loaded guns, we're in the right places, the right positions, we're doing the right thing with our guns. So safety is absolutely rule number 1 in our sport.
And there's a lot of marshaling going on where people know what the rules are and they really are strict about that.
Absolutely. We always say we want you to leave with the same number of holes you came with.
I think that's a great idea. Well, this is just fascinating. Well, I have a few more questions for you in just a second. We're going to take a quick break and head into a little commercial time. We've got to make a little money with us. Stick around. We're here with the Arkansas Leadslingers in Frisco City. Break us at Frisco on the Out of the Norm show, where the stories are all about you, so don't you dare go away. There's more good stuff coming.
The Out of the Norm show, where the stories are all about you. We'll be right back after this.
Hey, welcome back to the Out of the Norm show at the Fracas at Frisco City in Ozark Gyms. We're certainly glad to be Ozark's Gym. I'll get that right.
That's close enough.
All right, well, I want to make sure I get it right because you're armed and I'm not. And I certainly can't run fast enough for that.
Not a problem.
You know, as we were talking about the age groups and little kids all the way up to 100 years old, but it's also a husband and wife thing or a partner at the men's club, is it?
Absolutely. We learned a long time ago we need to get our wives' permission. That was to drag them along, and you know what? Sometimes they get there.
Oh, well, you've got to be some trusting guys to put loaded weapons in your wives' hands.
That is true. My wife can outshoot me most of the time, so
Wow.
I have to be careful.
So it really is a family sport, isn't it?
You bet. That's been one of the neatest things about our sport is there's many times where we'll have 3 generations out shooting together, and there's no age limits, and we're just open to everybody.
But in a competition like the Frisco at Fracas weekend, your annual shoot, you'll be giving trophies and that kind of thing later on in the week, or weekend.
What we do is we take the overall number of shooters and we divide them into categories. So we have age-based categories. Okay. We also have shooting style categories. Some guys shoot 2 hands, some guys 1, guys and gals, I better get that in there. But we divide it up to where the people that you're in the same style and age group is who you're shooting with. Oh, okay. So that it does it. But then we all match winner. Then that could be a buckaroo just as easy as it could be a silver senior.
So it's kind of handicapped to make everybody kind of on equal ground when they get started.
Absolutely.
Are there programs that you can take and be involved in to learn how to be a better cowboy shooter?
There are a lot of DVDs and things like that, but absolutely the best way is what we call a mentoring program. We buddy them up with one of our experienced shooters. And then, depending on how much they want to learn, we have practice days out here at the range where they can get together with some of the state champions that are at our range. And the best way to learn our sport is by doing it. Now, you can learn through a match and so forth like that, but if you only fire your guns during a match, you're never going to get to be world class. But if you take what you learn during the match, go home and practice and get after it, then sky's the limit for you.
Do you find that guys who have military experience, that they're better shooters than people who aren't?
I don't know that I would associate it with military, but what I would associate it with is shooters. In other words, whether they're shooting for pleasure, whether they're shooting for a vocation or military, you know, the more you shoot, the more you handle the guns,
The better you are.
the better you are. And the biggest part of our sport, believe it or not, is not how fast you can shoot. It's how fast you can draw. It's how fast you can pick up the next gun. It's how fast you can, what we call transitions.
Okay.
So that's what most of the practice is. I mean, there's a limit to your speed of how quick you can pull a trigger and work a lever. But where you really pick up time is by gun handling skills.
Right. Well, I'm a brand new guy. I'm a ex-Marine.
Okay.
Former Marine, no such thing as an ex. We know
Never
that.
an ex.
Never an ex, never an ex. And I handled weapons many, many years ago. But I'm brand new, I think I want to do this. How much money am I going to have to invest in this?
Well, when you're brand new, I tell you none. Because what I suggest is before you go out and buy guns, come to one of our shoots. Every cowboy out here will let you use his guns. Because everybody always asks, well, what's the right gun? The gun you feel comfortable with. So then what I recommend is shoot several people's different guns. Every cowboy will explain why his is the best. If you've done that, then you can get into anything from buying a gun at a couple of $100 on it, all the way up to a completely tricked out, slicked up,
Lots of
ready
money.
to go. And I'd hate to say, but you'd be pushing $2 grand on some of those types of guns.
But that's for those guys who've been into it for a while and all that. But that's kind of interesting that you're talking about customized weaponry.
Absolutely.
And yours is customized too, I know. So you got to see this.
Well, again, there's really nothing special about the gun. This is a Ruger Vaquero.
There you go.
Yeah, this is the Ruger Vaquero, and I happen to shoot a 357. But what I've done a little special, being the banker, I wanted to let everybody know that I had just a little extra cash to put into my gun. And that's where you'll see everything from complete engravings on guns. The grips have to be standard grips. Now you can put a decoration on them, but you can't have any grip enhancing. You know, you can't have like target grips and things like that.
Right.
So the most work that goes in on the guns is on the inside, where they slick up all the actions, all the moving parts and so forth like that. Part of our sport is keeping the gun from the outside looking just like that traditional cowboy had his gun looking.
Well, it's been so interesting being here, and I know the group of people look like they're all having fun, and here and there. It just looks like a society of fun folks.
Well, it sure is, and the one thing I haven't seen yet is I haven't seen a gun in your hand yet.
Okay.
And can we take care of that?
I think we can.
All right, let's do that.
All right. Hey, we're going to be right back in just a few minutes, and we're going to go kill some bad guys right here on the Out of the Norm show, so don't you dare go away. It's more good stuff, because the story's all about you.
Coming up next, more stories about you.
Thank you, troops. Thank you.
Okay, so here we are, Jim, at a This is a stage, right?
You bet. This is the Frisco station.
Okay. And then we're going to do the mine car.
Well, that's what the Frisco station is. That is the mine cart that works here in our Frisco station.
Okay, now tell me about the weapons that we're looking at.
All right, this is what they call a side-by-side or double-barrel shotgun. It's also referred to as a coach gun. These are my Rugers. That's a single-action Vaquero pistol.
Okay.
And then this is a model 1892 Winchester. It's not from 1892, but it's what's called a replica gun. And again, lever action, meaning that you have to work the action
After
each
every
time,
shot.
after every shot.
Okay. Well, I guess we're going to get to shooting now, huh?
Well, I'm ready for you. I tell you what, I think we're going to make you ride the mine cart today.
Oh, I'm looking forward to that.
All right.
So if we were getting ready to start the competition, how do we do that? What do we do?
Well, obviously, the first thing that would have happened is you would have been loaded under the supervision of a loading officer, and your loaded gun laying there. Then you were assume whatever position is called for by the stage. For today's, you're going to start with both hands on your head, like that.
Okay.
All right. Then I'm going to say, give your line, and your line is, the train's a-coming. And you'll holler out, the train's a-coming. That tells me you're ready to shoot. I'll say stand by, and then I'm going to push this little button, which starts the timer. When you hear that beep, you can then take your hands down, pick up your gun, and engage the rifle targets. And this is keeping a time of how long it takes for your shoots, and then when we're completely finished, we'll take the finish time off of this.
Well, it sounds a little bit complicated, but it's really not. But you know, I just don't feel right. I'm seeing all these cowboys around. Hold on just a minute, I'll be right back.
All right?
Now I'm ready.
You sure are. You've got your ears in, you got your safety glasses on, and most importantly, you got your hat.
Here comes the Austin cornbread kid gonna tear them up.
All righty.
All right, so I have to do this.
Yep, you turn and face towards the target.
Okay.
Is the shooter ready?
Ready.
Give me your line to signify you're ready.
Hey, the trains are coming, boys!
Stand by. Beep. You can go as long as you want to.
Oh, okay.
That's 4, you've got 10, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, open that action, lay it down, and you're ready to jump into mine cart.
We're on our way. Okay, fellas, let's rock.
Go ahead. Bullet came out. Still up. There you go. All right.
Coming up next, more stories about you.
I walked along a lot of lonesome highways, was always here at home. Like loving the South and me just loving you.
Hey, don't forget to set your DVR because you won't want to miss a single story on the Out of the Norm show every Sunday at 12 o'clock noon Eastern, 11 o'clock Central, right here on Rural TV, television for a growing world. Ozark Jim, I want to thank you so much for a great experience here today. This has just been so much fun. I got a little nervous there at the end,
Well, I tell you what, we've been proud as punch to have you, and you can come shoot with us any day. You were nailing those things.
Well, it's fun to be a part of the Arkansas Leadslingers here on this afternoon. It's been good. And also Doubleday Kid Doubleday. Kid Doubleday. I want to make sure I get that right, and his help with the mining cart. But we really appreciate you taking the time to be with us today and letting us come out.
Absolutely. You come on out anytime.
All right. Nobody's had more fun than I have and out here shooting some beautiful weapons and to do some target shooting and meeting new people. As you tell, I can really jazzed about this because I just got out of that mine car shooting that double barrel shotgun. It was a really fun thing to do. I want to remind you to go to the internet to SASS.net. It stands for Single Action Shooting Society. SASS.net, and you'll find a location or a town close by, one of your local gun clubs. They'll be glad to welcome you in. You'll have great fellowship, you'll have a good time, and you can bring your whole family and just meet some wonderful new people as I have today. In the meantime, this is a cornbread kid saying y'all don't go away too long because we're going to be in your hometown soon with another story about people, places, things, and events on the Out of the Norm show, where the story's all about you.